there is no such thing as a conflict that can't be ended. Conflicts are created by human beings. They can be ended by human beings.
Passions run deep. Years of mistrust will not disappear overnight. Among the Israeli and Palestinian publics, there is wide support for a two-state solution. And even in the midst of discord, ordinary Israelis and Palestinians, faith leaders, civil society groups, doctors, scientists, businessmen, students, find ways to work together every day. Their heroic efforts at the grassroots show that cooperation and progress is possible and should inspire us all.
The first time, they even didn't look at each other. In the third time, they know the names, they said goodbye in the bus. Maybe in the 10th time, they even invite him to his house.
When you think about it, you realize that it's really important to know someone really from inside, not from the outside. We talk, we laugh, it's all good. I mean, it's not like you read in the newspaper.
יהודים וערבים משחקים כדורגל, משתתפים בפעילויות ביחד. הכדורגל עוזר לעשות שלום.
I think it will be a great impact if young children, like we saw today, will laugh together and play together. And when they become adults, the feeling of hate and fear will disappear.
We focus on environmental issues from a transboundary perspective that is based on cooperation with our neighbors. You look at environmental problems in Israel, they are not, for the most part, contained within the borders of Israel. What we do in terms of the environment here will affect what's happening in the West Bank, will affect what's happening in Jordan, and vice versa. So if you really want to understand environmental problems, and if you really want to come to addressing in a comprehensive and a sustainable way the solutions, the only way to really do it is on a regional cooperative basis.
אמיר אוקות.
לפי סדר האותיות.
לפי סדר האותיות, אוקיי.
ולפי האותיות.
דירה. איך קוראים דירה בערבית?
מי בערבית? דירה.
כל ממורד יפה, מבית, עברי. דار, מומתז.
Our children learn how to see the reality in a very complicated way and how to understand the reality and how to be critical to the reality and to ask hard questions.
That's why I feel equal to the parents in the school, and the Arab teacher feels equal to the Jewish teacher, and my son feels equal to the Jewish kid sitting next to him.
Everyone in my class in the school, it's like really real family. And
we meet a lot after school, we do homework together, we sit next to each other in class, we became family.
أنا اسمي جيدان وأنا من القدس.
قبل شهرين سوينا كيوسك، جبنا أشياء للدار أو شريناهم وبعناهم من المصاري اللي ربحناهم.
עם הכסף שהרווחנו אז נתנו אותם לנזקקים בסדרות ובעזה, משום שבאמת זה היה בזמן מלחמה גם, משום שבאמת היו צריכים את זה.
I looked at the eyes of other Palestinian mothers and I realized that we share the same pain. And that is the sort of basis of the beginning of trust. Because the minute I could see that pain in a Palestinian mother, I realized that we were so powerful together, you know, and that we could be an example. We are now 600 families, and everybody in the group has lost an immediate family member. So we know what the consequence is, you know, of this continued mad cycle of violence, where we talk to more than 25,000 students every year, And if you go into an average Israeli classroom and you will ask the kids, who of you have ever met a Palestinian and you're with a Palestinian, it'll be no one. And who of you speaks Arabic, it'll be maybe one because their granny came from Iraq, you know. And who's been overseas, and it'll be about 85% of the class. So there's this huge, since the second Intifada, a whole generation of people who've never met the other side. And all they are fed on is what they see on TV. So why would there be any empathy? No, if I stand in a classroom with Mazen Faraj, who comes from the Haitian refugee camp, and suddenly these kids hear what his life is all about and how he lost his father and how his children sometimes have to stand at a checkpoint for 3 hours before they can get to school, they are shocked. They don't know that this even exists. And the first part of this program was to go to the Holocaust Museum. If you don't understand that part of the Jewish psyche, that fear, you'll never understand Israel as a nation.
I think that we prove it here at the Aravai Institute every day, that we can change people's attitudes, that we can change people's minds, and that we can open up people's hearts to each other.
I think that what I couldn't find, first of all, in Jerusalem in terms of interaction between the religious groups, in terms of communication, in terms of coexistence, I found it finally at the Aravai Institute, where you actually practice and you be yourself.
I think when you look at the Arab-Israeli conflict from a geopolitical perspective, you see lines and you see boundaries, but when you look at it from the environment, these don't exist.
Peacebuilding has focused on foreign intervention to bring our prime ministers and presidents together to sign a piece of paper called a peace treaty, and that be it. It's not enough just signing a piece of paper without the support of the general public doesn't get us very far. Israel and Jordan have signed a peace treaty, but there's a lot of animosity still between the two peoples, despite the fact that for the last 15 years it's a peace treaty between the two countries.
When you look at us, you look at the human side of the story. It's no longer just an Israeli soldier or a Palestinian. It became real. You know, it's the face of the conflict. Because if you look at the agreements up to now, you know, everybody can stand on the White House lawn and hug each other and, you know, eat hummus. But if the people aren't involved, why would there be peace? That's just a ceasefire.
Now that we've got all these groups and we've got them talking to each other, how do we make the outputs of what they're putting out there greater than the sum of the parts?
For an individual organization to go to the White House will take a year to organize, but as a coalition of not only environment, not only of medical and health and education, but of all the spectrum, the complete spectrum of what the peacemaking community represents, we're able to open those doors in a quicker fashion, in a more forceful, in a more convincing manner that can help bring change. And that's why ALLMEP is incredibly important.
Have here is the opportunity to meet with other people. We also have the opportunity to share best practices. We have the opportunity to work together to increase funding for all of our organizations, to be more creative and innovative in the work that we're doing.
Yesterday, we had 40 plus NGO leaders from the different ALLMEP organizations fan out across Washington. And in one day, we had 75 meetings with congressional offices, with members of Congress, senators, their staff, the White House, State Department, USAID, and some advocacy groups.
I think it's important to know that ALLMEP has been a catalyst for us to meet people that we probably never would have ever got to. And when we all come together as a group, which is very unusual, I think that's very powerful, because that group together shows that it's not just some kooks coming out of the Middle East. It's actually a whole body of people working for peace together.
20 years from now, maybe even 10 years from now, when folks are teaching case studies about Washington politics, the evolution of ALLMEP and its role in creating the type of funds will be used as a case study of how organizations can come together around a common goal and really create a change.
This effort was so organized. This was just an amazing experience.
To me, it's like an eye-opening that maybe there is a chance, because sometimes I do get negative about this conflict, like there's never going to be peace. It's been years of conflict, will it ever come? But when I attend something like this and hear about all these organizations and people's how strongly they feel that all their voices coming together, I'm sure hopefully soon there will be peace.
ערבים ויהודים לא מסכימים שהם יתחלקו בין האדמות.
אז מה אתה חושב צריך לעשות?
שפעם זה, שהם יעשו ישיבה והם ידברו על זה.
ואם היו מזמינים אותך לישיבה כזו, מה אתה היית אומר?
המון דברים. חשבתי על זה במכונית. שהייתי אומר, אם לא מסכימים, אז זה של אף אחד. כי אם מסכימים, אז זה יכול להיות של כולם.